I'll be your MC for the evening. And I've got great news. So fourth year is just ending for me. And I also just submitted my BA paper. Thank you. Woo indeed. I wrote my paper about the book Lolita, which for those of you who aren't familiar with the text, all you need to know is that when you tell people that you wrote a 40-page paper about the book Lolita, they think that you're a big creepy pervert. And I just want to set the record straight. I am a big creepy pervert, but it has nothing to do with the book. The book is unrelated. So, I've just been really reflective about my 4 years at UChicago, now that they're kind of winding down. I've been thinking a lot about the things that I've learned during this time and the lessons, and one thing that I've really learned, and this is not an academic lesson, but just that I came here from kind of a rural area of Colorado, and I learned that people from the coast and the big cities, and even in Chicago, they don't really understand, or they have a lot of misconceptions about sort of middle America, rural America. I think a lot of people think it's very religious and it's very conservative, and I'm just here to set that record straight. You know, I really think it couldn't be farther from the truth, those stereotypes. I mean, rural America is a beautiful tapestry of, beautiful geography and diverse perspectives, and salads that have no vegetables in them at all. Not a single one. And I think that's great. And this is completely unrelated, but a thing about me is that I was raised in Colorado as a fundamentalist evangelical Christian. But not related. And yeah, that was sort of a weird experience I had growing up. It was really a very rigorous religious experience. I was baptized about so many times, I just dropped outside and took a bath. And then you're done. And there were a lot of rules growing up in that kind of strict church like that. You can't skip church. You can't read Harry Potter because that's witchcraft. Sad. You can't ask who the protesters are outside of your church. That's not allowed. And you cannot believe it's not butter. Just a lot of rules. And it's weird. So growing up in that kind of environment, I was basically like the Billy Graham of 8-year-olds. Yeah, those of you who get that joke are probably in a similar situation. But being the Billy Graham of 8-year-olds that I was still surprisingly, looking back on it, I was a pretty normal kid with pretty normal tendencies. So yes, it was weird that my favorite book to read was the Bible. But I think it was pretty normal that my favorite part of the Bible was Leviticus, because I thought maybe there was sex stuff in there. And I wanted to get in on that for sure. Again, creepy, weird pervert. I stand by it. But because to be clear, I was way too young to understand the objectively horrible parts of that book. But I was just old enough to be really interested in the horny parts of it, for sure. And so I would just kind of be really interested in anything that maybe seemed remotely sexual. It was kind of like when you look up ass in the dictionary. I don't know if anyone else did that. Maybe not just a me thing too. You just see oh, this is a little scandalous. But I would read a passage if a woman doth lie with a man who is not her husband, she shall be stoned to death. And I would be what does lie with mean? Interesting. I'd be what is stoning? This is cool. Is leprosy a sex thing? Oh, I'm 8 years old. But yeah, it's weird because that was such a big part of my life, but religion really isn't a part of my life that much anymore. I'm comfortable talking about that. And it's just so strange to have had this very rigorous and kind of important religious experience at such a young age, but it was long enough ago that I don't totally remember the details of it. And so, I'm looking back on it now, and it's people say things fuck the Westboro Baptist Church, right? And I'm yeah, fuck those guys. And then I text my mom really quick to be hey, that's not the church we went to 2 weeks to one summer, right? And she's no. And then I'm who the hell were the people protesting outside of our church? This gives me no answers. But we have a great rest of the show for you tonight. So our next comic needs no introduction. but I'm going to give her one anyway. Put your hands together for Regina Wen. Thank you. When I introduced the show, I bet you didn't think I was going to be back this soon. Fire! No one got up. You'd all be dead right now. I'm just saying. Or you weren't listening, in which case, shame on me. I went to go donate blood today. Thank you so much. I was hoping I would get an applause. I wasn't able to. I ended up not donating blood for a few reasons, and all of those reasons have to do with my health. I barely made it over the acceptable iron level. I have extremely low blood pressure, and my blood was not flowing out of the machine fast enough. They literally stuck the needle in me, and then the machine started beeping because it thought I was dead. So yeah, low iron, low blood pressure, really slow blood. I think I'm turning into a rock. But I'm not here to talk about rocks. I'm no geologist. I'm here to talk. I'm a comedian, so I'm here to talk about my childhood. I don't have a therapist, just so you all know. It's dark. In second grade, my mom got me a book called How to Deal with Bullies at School. And I didn't tell my mom that I was being bullied. I wasn't being bullied at school. She just made an assumption about me because of who I was as a person. I was a super nerdy kid. I was really nerdy. I was a little fat, and I had a lot of friends who were adults. So I was really weird. Children did not want to be friends with me. But my mom got me this book, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that bullying was a thing. Let me just read this book. And I read it, and I read it again, and I was like, huh, I want to be a bully. And, you know, that book wasn't written to teach kids how to be a bully, but if you just reframe your mindset, it does. I read that whole book, and there were so many scenarios. It was like this one girl getting bullied by these three really mean girls over and over again. And I was like, obviously this book doesn't work because she keeps getting bullied. So I went to school the next day, and I was like, I'm gonna freaking bully someone. I'm gonna bully my friend, because why would I bully a stranger? That's rude. So there was this one scene in this book where the three mean girls go up to their victim, and they're like, oh, are those even capris? It was the year of the 2000s. Yes, and full disclaimer, I didn't know what capris were. I thought it was an insult you said to someone if you thought they were ugly. So I go up to my friend, and I'm like, oh, are those even capris? And she goes, these are regular pants. And then I panicked. And she had a Tinkerbell sweatshirt on, and I go, tell me about it, Tinkerbell. And she goes, my name is Catherine. And I was so humiliated. That was the first and last time I ever bullied anyone. When I was a kid, my friends and I used to play this game called Fairies, where we would pretend to be fairies. Very intuitive. And our friend Maddie would give us all fairy names that we all had to go by, and those fairy names were always based on our appearances. So she'd be like, Catherine, you have brown hair, so your fairy name is going to be Hazelnut. And Katie, you have freckles, so your fairy name is going to be Sprinkles. And Regina, your fairy name is going to be Wasabi. And I was like, why? She was like, it's because you're Asian. Thank you guys, I'm Wasabi the Fairy. Put your hands together accident where I had 11 of my teeth pulled at one time because the big ones were growing in and the little ones were falling out, so I kind of had like shark teeth. I was like, you know the movie Shark Boy and Lava Girl, but I was Shark Girl and there was no boy around. Our next comedian is the first ever water buffalo to not at all resemble a water buffalo. Give it up for Greer Baxter.
If you're wondering what happened to my wrist, I sprained it during drunk kickball. That was a good opener. No, but I actually want to start with something a little bit serious. I feel like this is a good platform to talk about it. I just have no tolerance for it, and that is the flavor blue raspberry. There are several, blue raz is the colloquial term. You didn't know what I was talking about. There are several reasons why I'm so deeply bothered by it, and one is that it is blue. And the last time I checked, raz wasn't. Also, not a particularly handsome color of blue. But so basically what we do is we take raspberries that are red in nature, and when we want to get the flavor out, we apply blue to it, and then use that as a modifier for the flavor. So, to me, it seems like we're adding an extra step to make something a very ugly color that cannot be found in nature. And we're left guessing why. I have a few theories. One is that we put a colorblind focus group in charge of assigning name and color to flavor. And they were like, oh, well, we can't make it red because red to colorblind people, I believe, is sort of a poo brown. So they're like, can't be red, let's make it yellow, so it's blue. And my second theory is the first person who ever tried to extract flavor from a raspberry was making a big batch of it for, let's say, Jolly Rancher. And big batch, spilled Windex into it. Oh, I'm running late for my investor meeting. The investor that is interested in purchasing raspberry the flavor. So I don't have time to make another batch. So I go with my Windex batch. The investor loves it. Flavor, color, everything's perfect, don't change a thing. So they all died of Windex poisoning, so we cannot know for sure, but that's what it is. Mother's Day is coming up, so I thought I would tell a mom tale. My mom's a book editor, and so whenever I come home, she always gives me a new book. But a few months ago, I came home and it was a little different. So I came home and she and my dad were like, hey, and she gives me the new book, and it's called Moan, Essays About the Female Orgasm. So I had a lot of thoughts. The first was, Mom, why? Dad, depart. And I didn't see him for a while. So it was just me and my mom and the book in question, and I think she wanted me to maybe say thank you or express some sort of gratitude, but I was without words. I was simply without words. And the less I spoke, the more she was speaking, which was additionally a problem. So then she started to say, isn't Moan a great title? And no. But okay. She said, oh, I just really think you should at least read the introduction because I think it'll turn your current habits upside down. What habits? What do you know that I don't about me? But I'm a very good daughter, so I open up the book, and clitoris 35 times on the first page. My suspicions were correct, so I bring the book back to school with me. Again, good daughter. And I had a guy over to my room in the next few days, and he spotted it right away because it is called Moan, Essays on the Female Orgasm. And so he was probably like, frick, she knows what they are. I don't. And so he said, what's that? And I said, oh, only the best book in the whole world. You should and must borrow and read it cover to cover, but we're trying to do that. So we started flipping through as one does. And comes over. couple essays. And he goes, oh, no way. One of the essays has an author with your same last name. I said, no kidding. Could I see? I devolved, and yes, my mother was a contributor to my own essay about Memoria. So happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Greer Baxter, everyone. Yeah, thank you for the reminder about Mother's Day. I, keep an old mom in mind. If you're just curious, based on kind of my last story about her, my mom she's really evolved as a person lately. She identifies as a pagan now, and she is single and looking. Boy, don't I know it. It's really interesting to see how, progressively more, but maybe less, how her stories about guys that she dates have, she's gotten a little more bold about it as I've gotten older, and my tolerance for it, I can't tell whether or not it's changed. When I was a younger kid, she would say something like, oh, the man I'm courting, gave me a peck on the cheek. And I'd be like, Mom, And then it would be like, oh, well, I went on a second date and he got a little handsy. And I was like, okay, that's too much. But now we've gotten to the point in our relationship where she's just like, yeah, my friends with benefits just wants me to send feed pics again. And I'm like, okay. So if you guys ever wonder, can I change myself fundamentally as a person? Yes, you can. Our next comedian, we need a really big applause because it is his 21st birthday.
Yeah, now that's not transgressive. It's awful. All right, thank you all so much for coming out. It is indeed my birthday, and since it's my birthday, I thought I would tell a story about one of the worst things I've ever done in my life. Cool? All right, so in 8th grade, I was best friends with this kid named Akash, and he and I had this incredibly great dynamic, and we got along about basically everything. One of the things we got along about was our relationship with this other kid named Jacob. And our relationship with Jacob can be described as, how do you put it? Oh yeah, bullying. We basically bullied him a lot. Extensively. The best or worst example of this relates to the classic YA action film, The Hunger Games. Thank you. From the second that the first Hunger Games trailer dropped in 2011, Jacob was like, the three of us have to go see this movie together opening weekend. And we had been excited about it for months. He'd been hyping it up every day. It was great. We had our tickets. We were ready to go on Friday night. Then the week of the movie, Jacob found out he had to go away that weekend because he and his family were going to a funeral. And being good friends, Akash and I went in his stead. We sat together and we had a great time. And then Jacob came back to school the next week and we were like, hey man, how are you doing? And he was like, I was just at a funeral. But I'm excited about going to the movie with you guys. You still want to go, right? And then Akash and I look at each other and we look at Jacob and we go, no, we're over it. We don't really need to go anymore. And he was like, what? But I thought we were going to go together. And then in a moment of incredible intuition, he goes, oh, you guys saw it without me, didn't you? Yeah. And he goes, but hey, that's okay. You still want to go together with me, right? We look at each other and look at him and we go, no, we don't really feel the need to go again. And he's like, oh, okay. And he's just like crestfallen. He's really sad. And then Akash and I decide, you know what? We'll be good friends. So he said to him, we're fine to go again. We just don't want to pay for it. So I need you to know before I go any further that Jacob's family is incredibly rich. And that's the only way for the rest of this story to happen without me looking like the worst person of all time. Because what happened next is Akash and I basically led Jacob on a military march when they paraded Jesus around Jerusalem. We marched him to TD Bank, watched him put his debit card, and saw with our own eyes he put in his PIN number and take out $80. And then we march on down to the movie theater. He's like, can I have 3 tickets for Hunger Games, please? And the woman takes his tickets and takes his money off the tickets and looks at me and Akash and goes, how are you two going to pay for your tickets? And we look at her and we go, ha! And then we walk in. We get the tickets. Jake starts to go up the escalator to the theater, to where we are going to sit. And I stop Akash before we get on the escalator. I look at him. We have a nod of agreement. We look at Jacob and we go, "We also want snacks!" And then he comes back down the escalator, goes over to concessions, and buys a thing of Milk Duds, a thing of Junior Mints, a thing of Crunch, a large popcorn, and 3 large sodas for us to drink. And he spent his $80 in cash and then had to use the debit card to finish paying for the snack. Movie was just as good the second time. But no, it wasn't worth it. I've regretted this for years. But before I started regretting it, actually, Akash and I wrote a song about how grateful we are to Jake for being such a good friend. If you pick up the words at any point, please sing along. Here we go. I also want you to know that I wrote this in 8th grade, so don't be too mad. Also, every word of this is great. I love Jacob, he's my best friend. I love Jacob, he's my only friend because he pays me. The man is crazy, but he's got a nice piano, and I really like his Xbox. He's got a nice apartment. In fact, the man has 2. Note the lack of rhyme in the song so far. At this point, Akash and I will join in and we sing together. We love Jacob, he's our best friend. We love Jacob, he's our only friend. If he pays us, then he can play with us. That's sort of the ethos of the whole song. But he's got a nice piano and I really like his Xbox. He's got a nice apartment. In fact, the man has 2. Okay, and I'm going to need you all to sing along for 2 reasons. One, because I want Jacob to know that we love him and we give him our support, we're grateful for him, and also because Akash is right there! The brotherhood stays strong! Here we go! We love Jacob, he's our best friend. We love Jacob, he's our only friend. Saw Mockingjay Part 2. So, thank you everybody! Have a great night!
That was amazing. Thank you, Gideon. Yeah, I'll just say that the one thing that song really reminded me of is just every love letter I've ever written to a boy. I like your Xbox, I like your apartment, and then I'll ditch you to watch Mockingjay by myself. Our final comedian tonight is Ella Fredrickson. She will be heavily censoring herself this evening because her mom is here. Give it up for Ella! To donate a couple of my precious stand-up moments graciously to wish my really good friend Gideon a happy birthday. Woo! Crazy. We've been friends for like not even 2 years, and I can already count like more than fingers and toes the amount of times that he has told me how average his penis is. What he is lacking, he is packing in self-awareness. Bitch to potty train. So it wasn't that it was cognitively difficult for me. It was just like I'm just a woman that loves comfort. It's always been true. And so the peeing part was fine, but I was incredibly scared of
the splashback. When you drop on a log and then cold water jumps up underneath. So not a fan. So the only then what I would do is I would pee on the toilet and then I'd stand up real quick, pull up my underwear, and poop in peace. Yeah, my mom didn't love it, but she's a patient woman, and she devised a plan. The only way that I would poop on the potty is if my mother, Heather Nangle, sang her original cover of ABBA's Super Trooper, titled Ella's a Super Duper Pooper on the Potty. I would sit there and she'd go, Ella's a Super Duper Pooper on the potty, Ella really is. And that was the only way. My tush would stay nailed to that seat. And it is true, I am still a super duper pooper on the potty. Embarrassing. I remember the night that my parents told me I couldn't wear pull-ups to bed anymore and I was going to have to get up and walk to the toilet to pee. They brought me to the dining room table and they said, look man, you're like sizing out of these pull-ups. We cannot maintain this. And I said to them, I will roam these halls and never sleep. I was just fucking lazy. And so I had a bunk bed at the time. And I just did this wonderful thing where I would wet the bed and then the next night just move up to the top. And just kind of keep it cycling, sleeping in my dry urine. It was a simple life, but it was enough for me. Except one day we had a family friend come and they said, you can sleep in Ella's room, she has 2 beds. And I was like, hey. She was breaking the cycle, and I had just peed on the bottom bunk, and I hadn't told anybody. And I was like, oh. It was kind of impending doom, but I was trying to be strategic. She was like, I just want to stop. She was like, I want to sleep on the bottom bunk. And I was like, no, you really don't want to sleep on the top bunk. It's a good bunk, you'll like it. And she was like, no, I'm only sleeping on the bottom bunk. And I was like, well, fuck, okay. It was inevitable. We had a babysitter. I was laying in bed just like waiting for this little girl to climb in. And sure enough, she climbs in and she goes, hey, it's wet in here. And the babysitter, and I was like, oh boy. It was near for me, my God. And the babysitter though, she goes, oh, Ella, did you spill a glass of water? And I went,